grown quite a lot since last week. Actually, his sister, the producer, insisted he should sit on pillows so he's not so low. Or you grew. Which one is it?
Grew.
Grew. So are you ready to do some more lit chat?
Yes.
Okay. We're going to pull out a card here. Uh-oh. Here you go. Pull out a card. So if you haven't seen this before, I have these conversation starter cards. He pulls out a card, so I don't know what he's going to ask, and then I answer it. So what's the book? Can you show us
Lord of the Fleas.
Flies. Lord of the Fleas, I think, is a Dogman book. This is Lord of the Flies.
What book do you associate most with your high school experience, your college experience?
Okay, so high school. I'm going to say in high school, it was probably the Scarlet Letter. I think everyone has to read, or at least when I was of my age, everyone in the United States had to read the Scarlet Letter when they were a junior in high school. And people dreaded it. It was like you started dreading it your freshman year, all the way to your junior year when you had to read it. And I ended up loving that book. That's one of my all-time favorite books, is The Scarlet Letter. I will read that periodically over and over again. And I get mad because I always want it to be a little different than it is, but I just really enjoyed that book. And for college, and I'm not going to say a book, I'm going to say a group of authors, but it was in college that I discovered the Brontes. Between my junior and senior year of college, I did a summer term in England, and I did a whole class on the Brontes. Did we read all of the Bronte novels? We read Wuthering Heights, Agnes Grey, Tenant of Wildfell Hall. So we read all of Emily and Anne. And then we read Jane Eyre and Villette. I don't think we read The Professor, and I can't remember if we read Shirley or not. Really the only Charlotte Bronte novel I like is Jane Eyre, although I probably should revisit the other ones. But ever since then, I've been a Bronte fangirl. So I would say the Brontes for college and the Scarlet Letter for high school. What's my other question?
Are there any other books that mark milestones in your life?
My daughter is in middle school, and she just read, earlier this fall, she read Flowers for Algernon. And I have very distinct memories of reading Flowers for Algernon. Who's that by? Do you remember? I'll have to look it up. Flowers for Algernon in 7th grade, in 8th grade, and then again in 9th grade. I don't know what it was about that book, but they just loved teaching Flowers for Algernon. And then when I was younger, definitely, I think the Beverly Cleary books, especially the Ramona books, but not just the Ramona books, but Beverly Cleary in general, were what got me into reading and kept me reading. What book do you associate with school that you read in school that you enjoyed?
Seed Folks.
Seed Folks, yeah. He just read Seed Folks. He's in 6th grade, and I read it too, to just kind of go along with it. And you liked it.
And Lily also read it.
Yeah, Lily read it when she was in 6th grade too. Okay, should we do another one?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, let's do it.
Let me shuffle them up. Okay. Okay, what's the book?
Pride and
Prejudice. I do not like this book, but go on.
If you could be inserted into a romantic relationship from any book, which one would you choose?
Well, not Pride and Prejudice, and not anything by the Brontes, because I love the Brontes, but their men were very problematic. I don't know. That is a hard one. Romantic relationship. I don't know. I'm sorry. This is going to be dead air as I sit here and think about a romantic relationship in a book that I want to be part of. And, people talk about having book boyfriends. My book boyfriend is the 20th president of the United States, James Garfield, and that's not a very good romantic relationship part. And that, by the way, the book was Destiny of the Republic, fabulous book. It was a 5-star book for me, and James Garfield would have been a fantastic president, but we don't deserve nice things like that. I don't know. Can you read me? Is there more of a question? Which character are you in this literary love affair? I don't have one. I just don't. I don't know who I would be.
What?
I like my husband. So I'm just going to stick with my husband on that one. Okay, what's the second question?
You are on a dating app and all of the profiles have been replaced by literary characters. Who would you go for instantly? Who would you avoid at all costs?
This is the wrong question for me.
All right.
Okay, now I'm going to try and answer this and then we'll do a third one. I would definitely avoid a Bronte male hero. I guess the closest one that would probably go far is the professor from Little Women, because I liked him. But even that's kind of wishy-washy. I don't know. That's a hard question for me. I'm not so... Bump. I'm not even going to ask you that question. We're going to do a third question because that one just didn't go well. We'll see. Hopefully we have better luck this time. Okay, what's the book?
Wild.
Oh, boy. I have read Wild. I liked Wild. I'm a big Cheryl Strayed fan, so we'll see here.
Have you ever done something inspired by a book?
Done something inspired by a book. I have not hiked the Pacific Crest Trail, although I will say that Wild inspired me to do more hiking. I was already a hiker, but I wanted to hike more after reading it. I especially wanted to hike more after reading Alone in Wonderland, which was a memoir that I read earlier this year, and I think I talked about it in an earlier video. That one especially got me wanting to hike more. I can't think of anything. What's the more of the question?
You decided to. What made you decide to do it? Did it live up to your expectations?
Oh, well, that kind of all goes in with the hiking. Read the second question.
Have you ever decided not to do something based on what you read in a book? What influenced your decision?
I have decided that when I go to Mexico, I will not eat mushrooms. And that's after reading Mexican Gothic. And if you know, you know. Because that, I'm terrified of Mexican mushrooms after reading that. I do want to tell a little story about this that kind of goes along with this question. It's not exact, but it kind of goes along. But it's one of my favorite kind of literary life stories. Some years ago, I think 8 years ago, Lily was going into kindergarten and Chris was 3. So it must have been 9 years ago, 8 or 9 years ago. We did a family trip to the Midwest where I have family, and my husband, we stopped for a family reunion for him, and then we went and saw my family. We drove through. And part of this is that we went to a lot of the sites for Laura Ingalls Wilder. And as we were driving, I was reading along, and no, I don't know why I was reading it and we didn't just get an audiobook. I clearly do not remember this, but we were reading By the Shores of Silver Lake. And at the beginning of that book, she describes what it was like going from Walnut Grove, Minnesota, where they had been living previously, to De Smet, South Dakota, where they were moving. And it's very descriptive of the landscape. And it just happened that I was reading that section as we were doing that drive. Well, this part of the drive was from Brookings to De Smet. I was reading it I was reading it out loud to my children, this description, as we were driving into the town. So what we were seeing outside the windows matched what I was reading, and that was very cool. The other part of this story, which I have not forgiven my children for, was in the book, and it might have been By the Shores of Silver Lake, but I can't remember which book exactly it was, where at the beginning of the book, they talk about how the good old bulldog Jack died. And I'm reading this aloud. Again, I don't know why I didn't have an audiobook of this, but I was reading it aloud to the kids, and I am sobbing. I can't breathe. I'm like ugly crying. There's snot going everywhere. I can't get a word out. And my husband's like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "I can't, the dog is dying. I can't stop." And we read through this whole thing, and the kids are listening, I thought. And then at some point when we get towards the end of the book, Lily, who's 5, goes, "Hey, whatever happened to the good old bulldog Jack?" I was like, "What do you mean? I went through that horrible suffering reading that to you, and you didn't even remember what I was talking about.
We couldn't hear you over your sobbing.
Uh-huh. Yeah. That's what she says now. But anyway, I think that trip and visiting all the Laura Ingalls Wilder sites, we went to DeSmet and Walnut Grove and Pepin, Wisconsin. We went to all those sites as I was reading the books to the kids. It was a really meaningful trip for me, and I think they liked it. I don't know if they remember it now, but there you go.
I don't.
You were 3.
Yeah.
You were 3. Does Lily remember it? Lily remembers it. She was 5. She doesn't remember how good old Bulldog Jack died, but she remembers that trip. So, that was another lit chat, Chris.
Yeah.
You're wearing the same pajamas you were wearing in the last one. You think maybe you should change your pajamas sometime soon?
Nope.
Do you think maybe you should get dressed sometime soon? Come back here. You need to say goodbye to everybody.
Bye.
Oh, come back here. Chris and I want to say goodbye to y'all, so we will see y'all in the next video. And probably next week we will do another lit chat.
Okay.
Okay, bye.